What will you do if the harem world you were dreaming of becomes true? Are you going to run like this idiot who only had his heart for one person, or are you going to embrace them all? Well, that is the story of Kaito, who can't use magic but suddenly awakens his charm ability that can make all the women fall to their knees, even these monkeys. Ready for a hot seat? Prepare your tissues before watching this. At Seiryu Magic Academy, where the most talented students in the world were enrolled, a professor irritably reminded her students about their lessons. When she questioned Kaito why he was still in school, and he answered that he would become popular with girls, she became furious, scolding everyone. Some of them still can't find any ability, especially Kaito. Kaito was at the bottom of the bottom. His grade was trash, and he couldn't wield even a single type of magic. The machine gun-like voice made Kaito want to silence her with his wrinkled 3-inch brown sword. That day, Kaito and his classmates were given a lesson on discovering the magic attribute most compatible with them. Everyone experimented with different techniques to identify their attributes, and Kaito, along with his friends, focused on using their magic to uncover the one that resonated with them. Sweat trickled down Kaito's face as he strained to demonstrate his abilities, yet he still found nothing, even as others mocked him. Watching from a distance, the mentor considered Kaito the most hardworking student in her class. Though uncertain, she believed he had potential, as it was unthinkable for someone without any talent to be accepted into the academy where she taught. When the bell rang to mark the lesson's end, Kaito kept going, determined to cast a spell. Despite his repeated failures, whispers and ridicule surrounded him. Some classmates teased him for entering the academy without any skill, while others scoffed at his ambition to become the top wizard. Many laughed at his lack of magical skill, and a few went as far as to curse him, claiming he had no talent for magic at all. But unexpectedly, Kaito's efforts paid off when he managed to control the wind, creating a strong gust that revealed the dark cave's entrance before my twinkling eyes. None of Kaito's classmates could believe their eyes when he produced wind magic for the first time. Before he could even take pride in what he had done, he was caught by Yui, the girl who always stayed by his side. Yui was shocked that Kaito would use his new magic for something so inappropriate. When Kaito overheard his friends gossiping about Yui being with him, he quietly chose to leave. Yui didn't understand why Kaito was suddenly avoiding her. Curious, she decided to follow him. Her curiosity grew so strong that she asked him directly when she finally caught up. Kaito had a reason for keeping his distance. Yui was nothing like him. She belonged to the eagle tier, while he was ranked at the very bottom, hatchling. Kaito didn't want to bring problems to the girl who had always been by his side. Yui had once been his senior, the daughter of the prestigious Tengen family, known for magical martial arts. Kaito had studied with her in that family for a decade. He lowered his head in shame, feeling unworthy compared to Yui. But Yui didn't care about rank because she saw the good in Kaito. He was easily swayed by her, especially when food was involved. Since food always lifted his mood, Yui even made his favorite dishes, so much that it started to irritate him, especially when she teased him about using magic to become popular. She had seen how hard Kaito worked to enter the Phoenix class. According to her, people wouldn't laugh at him so much if he just told the truth. Kaito listened, but he rejected her claim that he wanted to join the Phoenix class. He had only joked about that, knowing his own limitations and feeling thankful just to be at the academy, where he could at least use magic. Being honest hurt too much, so he covered it with another lie about wanting cool magic and attention from girls. Yui denied it. She knew him too well, but Kaito just complimented her meals and turned around. When Yui called out to him, he didn't turn around and kept walking, leaving her behind. As Yui said, Kaito's true dream had always been to join the Phoenix class. His talk of being popular was only a joke. Kaito had made a promise to his childhood friend Mai to enter the Phoenix class. When they were young, both Kaito and Mai were tested and found to have magical potential. They were thrilled and dreamed of becoming powerful wizards together. That was when Kaito vowed to protect Mai by entering the Phoenix class. But not long after, he lost the ability to use magic. One day, Kaito was stunned to see Mai walking gracefully, surrounded by boys who admired her. People made way for her like she was a celebrity, and everyone seemed to adore her. Mai had a charming figure with round, cute cheeks. She was the youngest student ever accepted into the Phoenix class. Kaito could only watch from afar, realizing that to keep his promise, he would have to surpass her. Unfortunately, he was nowhere near her level and felt he could never fulfill that vow. Since then, Kaito acted recklessly and made foolish choices. His behavior earned him a bad reputation, especially among the girls. With his head lowered, Kaito feared Mai would think poorly of him too. Though the crowd around her made Mai uneasy, she noticed Kaito watching from a distance. She was disheartened to see him turn away, and it hurt her deeply. Kaito didn't have the courage to face her, especially with the shame that followed him throughout the academy. His daydream was shattered when Yui shared a story about Mai, who doesn't have anyone in her bloodline that could use magic. Since Mai worked so hard to achieve where she was now, she was certain Kaito could do it too. Kaito clenched his fists with renewed determination, ready to begin again and work even harder. Kaito refused to give up and was set on becoming the powerful magician he had always dreamed of being. His spirits unexpectedly rose when a girl named Kiara made a rude comment about Mai. Kaito clearly heard Kiara's insult and guessed she was jealous of Mai's success. Oddly, her followers also spoke about Mai in a strangely familiar tone. Once again, Kiara and her group questioned Mai's abilities and hinted that she used underhanded means to get into the Phoenix class. Kaito couldn't stand hearing his friend insulted and stood up to Kiara and her clique. Still, Kiara had no interest in acknowledging someone from a lower row rank like him. Even so, Kaito spoke up, refusing to stay silent, and argued back until Yui arrived, which made Kiara lose some of her boldness. Though Kiara backed down slightly, her prideful behavior and mocking of Mai didn't stop. Her followers kept talking, and Kiara's arrogance only grew, pushing Kaito's anger further. He knew how hard Mai had worked to earn her place, and hearing others tear her down enraged him. Naturally, Kaito couldn't let that go, so he challenged Kiara to a duel. Yui panicked, not expecting Kaito to challenge someone from a higher class. Kaito understood the risk. Losing as a low-rank student could get him expelled, but he wouldn't let that stop him. His fury over the insults toward Mai left him resolved to fight. Even though Kaito came from the hatchling tier, he was determined to defeat Kiara. She only laughed and mocked him for being from a lower class, happily accepting the challenge. Yui tried to talk him out of it, but Kaito wouldn't listen. His anger had taken over. He ran off toward the academy's dueling arena. A crowd quickly gathered to watch the match. People murmured about Kaito, some judging his serious look, others mocking him for the harem rumors that had spread because of his own foolish remarks. There was nothing Kaito could do about the rumors now. Yui knew she couldn't stop him anymore, and just hoped he would be safe. Kaito's anger grew as Kiara kept taunting him. Kaito demanded that Kiara apologize to Mai if she lost the duel. The intense match began, and Mai, who happened to see Kaito in the arena, grew nervous. The duel officially started. Kiara's warm-up was flashy and attention-grabbing. She didn't truly care about the fight. She used it as a way to gain more fans. She unleashed her Serpent of Flame technique, soaring through the air and attacking Kaito with such flair that the audience was captivated. Spectators praised Kiara's skill. Encouraged by their admiration, she became more arrogant and increased the intensity of her attacks. Kaito struggled to keep up as her assault grew stronger. He tried to find a blind spot, but unexpectedly ended up in a good one. When he tried to warn her that her dark cave was showing, she became furious and unleashed a fierce fire attack. Kaito focused solely on dodging, no longer bothered by the taunts directed at him. Without his knowledge, Mai also overheard the insults hurled his way. This time, it seemed no one believed in Kaito's potential. He was looked down on because he hadn't launched a single counterattack against Kiara. Instead, he concentrated entirely on evasion. Seeing that the crowd's excitement was fading, Kiara decided it was time to wrap things up. Kaito took pride in having avoided all of Kiara's attacks, but his confidence crumbled when Kiara revealed she had purposely missed to make him appear weak in front of everyone. Things took a serious turn. Kiara now aimed to finish the match for real, unleashing her powerful flame serpent technique. The blazing fire intensified, and Kaito, watching from nearby, grew nervous. Still, he refused to retreat, unwilling to lose his pride again. In the audience, Yui grew increasingly worried, fearing Kaito would get injured if the fight continued. Meanwhile, Mai was visibly upset to see her childhood friend being mocked, prompting her to step in and offer words of advice. Kaito clearly heard her voice and searched the crowd. As expected, he spotted Mai seated among the spectators. Kiara, burning with rage, grew furious that all eyes turned to Mai instead of her. Determined to regain the spotlight, she committed fully to the match. Her fiery serpent charged at Kaito, and Yui shouted in fear as she saw the attack closing in. At that moment, Kaito felt truly pathetic, realizing that the nasty rumors about him didn't matter anymore. His determination solidified. He had to win and fulfill his promise to Mai. The enormous flames surged toward him without warning. As thick smoke rose into the air, the crowd gasped, but to their surprise, Kaito emerged unharmed. Confusion spread quickly, even for Kaito, who questioned whether he had finally awakened his magical ability. Yet doubt crept in again, as part of him wondered if Kiara had simply missed on purpose. He stood frozen, still trying to process everything, as Kiara slowly walked toward him. To his wrinkled brown sword's astonishment, Kiara suddenly exposed her pair of healthy, fluffy melons, and even revealed the dark cave. Hold up, guys. Bathroom break.
A few moments later.
Even the mentor, serving as the referee, acted strangely toward him. The situation caused a stir among everyone present. The headmaster, observing Kaito's match, ordered that no one be allowed to look into Kaito's eyes, as they emitted charm magic that captivated everyone around him. However, the principal unintentionally looked into his eyes, making her fall under the spell. She believes age doesn't matter, revealing she is 120 years old, shocking the professor beside her. More and more people started to get captivated by him, which made other students conclude that his harem was about to come true. This guy is so lucky. I want to be a manga character now. Let's switch roles. Kaito, please let me become the main character of this story. And you narrate how I will bang these girls. Anyway, men started to grow furious about his ability, but he clarified that dreaming of a harem world was all just a joke. Still, they didn't believe him and stated he was the worst of all magic users. With that, he achieved the ability he had long longed for, but thought it could only bring him trouble. He was summoned to the principal's office once again. It felt as if he were being put on trial. Kaito was baffled by the principal's behavior, as she refused to look at him and instead focused on the ceiling. The principal was aware that her actions made Kaito uncomfortable, but as a woman, she needed to avoid direct eye contact with him because his eyes held an enchanting magic that captivated anyone, regardless of gender. Even worse, Kaito's gaze made people unknowingly expose themselves. The principal scolded Kaito for revealing her secret, that she was 120 years old before all the students. However, Kaito knew she was over 1,000 years old based on the rumor. She became so enraged that she even considered expelling all the students from the academy. His magic was now a serious problem, and even his principal had to call on the 7 sages. The 7 sages were powerful sorcerers at the height of the magical world, with immense influence, and Mai was one of them. They needed to discuss Kaito's magic, as it was the best way to deal with the situation. Their decision was to remove Kaito's charm ability. The magic Kaito had was forbidden, as anyone who used such magic risked having their powers removed, or worse, facing the death penalty. Since he had only just discovered his magic and couldn't control it, Kaito was spared the death penalty, but would still face the punishment of having his charm magic stripped away. He couldn't accept this. Kaito was suddenly bound by long strands of hair, and his eyes were covered. He was dragged away as the principal had decided to remove his magic. Kaito feared the reality of never being able to use magic again. He pleaded with the principal, but once she had made up her mind, there was no changing it. Kaito was furious. He wasn't ready to give up and didn't want to break his promise to Mai, his childhood friend. His anger rose as he opposed the principal's decision. The hair covering Kaito's eyes slowly unraveled, and Kaito's eyes were revealed once again. Suddenly, the principal was mesmerized by his gaze. She became frustrated with herself for making the mistake of wanting to remove his magic. In that moment, Kaito realized his charm magic had reactivated. Surprisingly, the principal, now acting out of character, asked Kaito to be her boyfriend, even going so far as to beg. Kaito learned that the principal was 127 years old and still single. She had been in a relationship when she was 25, but it ended poorly, and now she couldn't resist the charm Kaito exuded. Kaito had no intention of dating a woman with wrinkled caves, so he tried to escape to avoid being caught. This time, Kaito realized how dangerous his charm was, especially since even the principal, one of the 7 sages, was easily influenced by his magic. While trying to escape, he was once again confronted by Kiara. She challenged him to a duel, but Kaito declined, afraid that if he looked into her eyes, she might fall under his magic spell. Kaito grew increasingly frustrated as Kiara persisted, trying to drag him into a rematch until, by accident, he looked into her eyes. Kiara started acting strangely again and showed the twin mountain Fuji with promo cave. This idiot tried to run away again, but his escape was not as smooth as he imagined, because with his eyes closed, he accidentally bumped into a group of girls, leading to another ridiculous situation. Oh no, this yummy sight is making me want to go to the bathroom again. Kaito desperately tried to flee from the pursuing crowd, but this time his attempt was even more chaotic, leading to several issues since his enchanting gaze was still active. He felt overwhelmed, stressed, and confused, unsure how to handle his power. All the girls were drawn to him, eager to become his girlfriend, and soon Kaito found himself surrounded by numerous girls, with some boys also chasing him and clinging to him. I don't want to go to the bathroom again. This scene is making me want to vomit. While struggling with his inner turmoil, Mai quietly watched him and decided to help her childhood friend. She quickly cast a spell, and within moments, everyone pursuing Kaito collapsed, all of them falling asleep. Surprised, Kaito dropped to his knees, unsure of what had just happened. Once again, Kaito found himself bound, held captive. He attempted to resist, but his actions froze when he heard a familiar voice. Kaito wanted to defend himself, but everything stopped when Mai ordered him to lower his head so his power wouldn't affect anyone. Kaito tried to stay calm, trusting Mai, but his faith quickly faded when Mai used a warp hole spell and transported him to an unfamiliar location. Kaito didn't even realize what had occurred. As he attempted to lift his head, Mai quickly stopped him, ensuring he didn't look at anyone around him. Kaito's heart raced when he realized he was now face to face with the 7 sages. He was deeply upset that his power was being taken away, especially since it seemed like Mai was encouraging the sages to end his journey. Kaito felt a great sense of loss because, if this happened, their promise would be broken. Moeka, one of the 7 sages, approached Kaito while the headmaster avoided looking at him, fearing her own vulnerability to his power. Moeka, skilled in controlling her charm magic, was aware of Kaito's unintentional use of his powers, which had caused chaos. Kaito had never meant to make people infatuated with him. He hadn't even realized he had such a power until facing Kiara. The aftermath was beyond his expectations, and he wanted to control it, but he had no idea how. Moeka listened intently, then called Hijiri to provide her perspective, as he held a different view. Hijiri, holding a grudge against Kaito, refused to listen to his explanation, believing magic should be used for good, unlike Kaito's dangerous charm. Hijiri was determined to execute Kaito. However, before Hijiri could act, Mai intervened, asking Kaito what he truly wished to become. Mai clearly understood the consequences Kaito would face if his power was removed, so she wanted to hear his intentions. Mai tried to delay the execution, asking Kaito how he intended to use his power. Kaito lowered his head in response. Mai's question stung, making Kaito wonder if she had forgotten why he came to the academy in the first place. Mai, who once dreamed of becoming a magic user like Highland, struck a chord with Kaito's heart. He remembered how, as a child, he had admired Highland and aspired to be like him. Now, Kaito realized that Mai had remembered their promise. Without realizing it, Kaito looked up at her, but one of the 7 sages quickly grabbed his head and forced it down. Kaito understood he was trapped, and Mai was trying to help him. It was now Kaito's turn to act. He shouted with determination, expressing his desire to become one of the 7 sages. Kaito wanted to use his charm for good and vowed to become the strongest magic user in the world. Some sages reacted with annoyance, holding Kaito's head firmly, while others admired his resolve. Mai smiled, seeing that Kaito was still the same person she had always known. When Hijiri questioned Kaito's resolve, Mai appeared to request to become Kaito's mentor. Moeka approaches Zenji and uses her charm ability to release Kaito. When Zenji agreed to release the Moron, Moeka offered to teach Kaito, since they had similar abilities. She asked if they were also against her power, but Hijiri believed her ability was different from Kaito's charm. Not easily deterred, Moeka proposed a deal to Hijiri. She would train Kaito to control his charm for 1 year, and if she failed, Hijiri could strip Kaito of his powers. Although the headmaster opposed Moeka's decision, Moeka remained steadfast, understanding Kaito's feelings, and promised to support him. Kaito felt awkward when Moeka hugged him in front of Mai. Moeka persuaded Hijiri, and the decision to remove Kaito's charm was postponed for 1 year. This decision was final. Moeka would be Kaito's mentor. Kaito was determined to become part of the 7 sages. Meanwhile, Moeka was excited to have such a handsome student. As they walked, Moeka explained how their powers were similar, but fundamentally different. She shared how she had gained her charm magic at age 11, remembering how she was ridiculed by other girls. Eventually, as part of the 7 sages, Moeka felt valued and used her powers to improve the world. She couldn't abandon Kaito because their experiences were so alike. Kaito, looking at Moeka, felt admiration for her. Moeka spoke of how not everyone was born with magical knowledge, but magic users must understand how their powers can impact the world. Magic, when used correctly, can improve life, but it is also used by rebels and criminals to create chaos. Magic users are taught to use their powers for society's benefit. Kaito listened carefully to every word Moeka spoke, reflecting on her message. Moeka warned him that if he misused his power, she would stop him. Kaito understood the enormous responsibility he carried, but he was determined to do right, just as the 7 sages used theirs for good. Moeka smiled with pride, seeing how strong Kaito's resolve was. She now wanted to test Kaito's charm ability, confident that she could train him to control his powers. Kaito watched as Moeka seemed to search for something, and then, out of nowhere, she asked him to charm 3 women on the academy grounds. Kaito, frustrated and still traumatized by the previous events, felt overwhelmed. Moeka remained composed, despite Kaito's anxiety about accidentally charming everyone. It wasn't her style to back down from a challenge. Kaito trembled, unable to imagine the consequences of what might happen next. Moeka calmly urged him to finish his task and bring the 3 girls to her, as she wanted them to become her friends. Feeling trapped between 2 heavy mountains, Kaito wanted to scream, but couldn't. He tried to focus on his goal, but Moeka's request made him speechless and nervous about what could go wrong. Moeka's playful actions toward Kaito weren't meant to harm him, but rather to test his mental strength. From a high tower, she threw Kaito down without any safety measures, warning him to succeed or she would no longer mentor him. As Kaito plummeted, his heart raced, feeling as though his life was on the line, but unexpectedly, he crashed into a girl on the way down, and the 2 tumbled together. The situation became tense. Kaito panicked, unsure how to proceed, especially when his target recognized him. The girl recoiled, trying to avoid being affected by Kaito's magic, but Kaito had no choice but to continue. Determined to prove himself to Moeka, he struggled to negotiate with her, but his lack of experience with sweet-talking only made things worse, angering the girl. Moeka, on the sidelines, laughed at the absurdity of the situation, enjoying the chaos she had created. The girl's eyes turned red, and suddenly, Kaito was hit by a blast of magic, sending him flying toward the other two targets. Realizing it was the infamous pervert, the two run for their cave. Just as he tried to continue his pursuit, Kiara suddenly appeared and stopped him, furious about their earlier duel. She insisted on a rematch, and Kaito, reluctant as he was, tried to avoid getting involved with her again. But Kiara was persistent. Meanwhile, Mocha watched from above and, despite Kaito's hesitation, ordered him to use his charm on Kiara. Kaito clenched his teeth, feeling as though he was being set up. Kiara, determined to fight, closed her eyes to avoid Kaito's magic and prepared her own attack. A swirling tornado formed in front of Kaito, propelled by Kiara's grudge against him. Kaito, under pressure, quickly repositioned himself, and Kiara's attack missed, causing chaos in the process. Unfortunately, the stray attack struck the three women Kaito had been targeting, tearing their clothes. The situation quickly spiraled into confusion, with everyone unsure about who was responsible. Kaito was soon surrounded by angry girls, all of whom began attacking him. Despite his attempts to explain that he wasn't at fault, no one was listening. Kiara continued her relentless attack, but just before one of her spells struck, Kaito accidentally activated his charm, causing the girls to stop their assault and submit to him instead. Kaito, stunned by the sudden turn of events, was confronted by the girls, who now demanded that he pamper them. Terrified, he tried to flee but found himself face to face with Kiara. As Kaito hesitated, Kiara opened her eyes and was immediately hit by his charm. The situation grew even more complicated as Kaito struggled to escape the numerous girls now pursuing him. Moika, however, was watching closely and was impressed by Kaito's abilities. She decided that this first lesson had been enough, and now understood how Kaito's charm worked. Feeling sympathetic for him, she flew down from the tower to assist, taking responsibility for the mess. Mocha landed gracefully and blocked the girls chasing Kaito, using her magic to stop them. Kaito was caught off guard, amazed at how quickly Mocha had put the girls to sleep with her flying kiss spell. As the girls collapsed, Moika turned to Kaito and asked if his charm was still active. Kaito, still confused, realized his charm was no longer in effect, as he felt the absence of warmth in his eyes. Moika, proud of her pupil, saw that Kaito had learned to recognize when his charm was working. The first step in controlling his ability was awareness. Moika explained that frequent use of his charm would also help him master it. Kaito now understood Mocha's reasoning. She was teaching him how to manage his power. Mocha promised to teach Kaito how to control his charm within a month, and afterward, he would use it to gain the attention of the 7 sages. Nevertheless, Mocha's encouragement gave him hope, and he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, even shouting that he would become part of the 7 sages. Mocha, slightly embarrassed, recalled how Kaito often struggled to speak to women, his words often coming off as stiff and awkward, which led to misunderstandings. To help him improve, she decided to train him in the art of speaking to women. Just then, Yui appeared, having heard about Kaito's abilities, and asked him to meet her father. Moika, charmed by her beauty, couldn't help but wet the dark cave. Yui's father had never heard of Kaito's ability, and didn't think it would be paired with the Tengen-style magical combat Kaito learned from him. Yui's father wanted to see his ability, but Kaito refused. After that, the dinner was ready, and Mom scolded father for asking to be afflicted by Kaito's magic. Mom and Yui felt Kaito was changing and distancing himself from them, so they tried to look in this pile of Kaito's albums. Kaito felt embarrassed and questioned if he could really reach Phoenix Tier with his ability. Father believed that he could become one of the 7 sages with his determination and spirit. Mom and Yui will be cheering for him, and even if he gets stuck, he is always welcome to come to them. While Mom and Dad talk about how close they are to Kaito, as if he were their son, Yui arrives and wants to discuss something about Kaito. Inside the room, Kaito felt relaxed at Tengen's house and reminisced about what had happened that day. He was eager to do his best not to disappoint the Tengen family and fulfill his promise to Mai. With that in mind, he fell asleep but woke up upon touching a huge but fluffy melon. Yui moaned as she stated that they couldn't do this. Kaito moved back and wondered why she was there. Yui clarified she just wanted to see his cute face while sleeping, yet he went way out of bounds. She apologized and went straight to the point. Since she had her parents' approval and he could now use magic, she wanted to give this paper to him. To his shock, it was a marriage registration form. She threw herself towards him and confessed how she had been in love with him for a long time. Still puzzled, Kaito realized that the Tengen family forbids anyone from marrying someone who can't use magic. Yui had waited for this moment to arrive, and now the time had come. Kaito would no longer be hungry for milk. However, Kaito only sees her as his sister and wonders if she is under his spell. Yui clarifies that she wasn't because her feelings for him were pure. She was in love with him since they were kids, and because of their family tradition, she couldn't confess her love to him. She even managed her stress by filling out a daily marriage registration, but Kaito couldn't buy it. He was certain she was under his charm. Yui threw herself toward him and genuinely stated how pure her feelings for him were. With that, she begs me to be her husband. I mean, she begs Kaito to make her his wife. Due to the huge pair of melons, Kaito was struggling to breathe and wondered if Yui was for real or under his charm. Do you want me to complete this series? Comment below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.